My dearest brothers and sisters, this is Tunia speaking. I love you so very much. Most people feel that things aren't as they should be, and that this is the fault of a specific group of Earth humans. And they believe that if only this group of Earth humans would start behaving better, then everything would be fixed. So for example, some people claim that Americans or Russians or Jews are the problem, and the world would be fine if only they would stop ruining everything. But the flaw here is, of course, that things weren't fine even back when America, Russia, and Israel didn't exist, and back when those people didn't have any kind of power. None of those groups is the primordial evil from which all other evils sprang forth. Or people claim that communism or capitalism or wokeism or globalism is the problem. Again, awful things were happening before any of those systems were invented. Now sure, some of those things are presently making things worse, but they're not the primordial evil from which all suffering originated. They're not the source of the problem. They're not the actual hole in the ship. Or people claim that white people are the problem. But of course, even back when white people were only located in Europe, non-white people were killing each other on other continents. Or people claim that men are the problem. Well, there are human men living in our Pleiadian society, and our society is utopian from your point of view. So how can human men be the problem? Male babies aren't evil. Adult Earth men and women hurt or emotionally neglect small boys, who then grow up with a hole in their heart. And that's how you get rapists and murderers. And that's also why us Pleiadians don't have rapists and murderers. Our boys don't get hurt or neglected. Instead of asking why are some men bad, consider asking, how can we stop boys from being hurt and neglected and growing up in an anti-masculine society? So, it's not the case that men, or women, or Americans, or Jews are the primordial evil from which all evil originated. I know that some people might be tempted to claim that everything was perfect in a certain previous golden age, say 1950s America, and then everything went to hell. But that's just not true. There hasn't been any recent period on your world where things were good for everyone. Sure, things were maybe pretty good for white heterosexual people living in 1950s America, but that's such a tiny fraction of the total population of your planet. And even in 1950s America, some white heterosexual people got murdered. Even things as common on Earth as war and violence and sexual violence aren't actually natural. There are races out there in the galaxy who have literally never engaged in those acts, not even when they were more primitive, except in self-defense against other races who attacked them. You can't imagine the shock and disbelief they felt when they became aware of the reptilian slave empire. So, why are Earth humans killing each other at all? This is a serious question, because it's not actually natural behavior. Some might say that the answer is lack of resources, but Earth actually has more than enough resources for everyone. Do you lack air? Do you perhaps lack water on a planet that is 71% water covered? Do you lack soil for farming, in a country where you see hours of empty land as you drive through it? In fact, you lack none of those things. Free energy technology is already present on your world, it's just suppressed. Furthermore, there are races out there who would rather starve than violently take resources from someone else. Because after all, it's natural for beings who are fundamentally reincarnating souls to not be in resistance to death. So then, why are you killing each other? You're killing each other because you have been abused and murdered and raped and eaten and tortured and enslaved by hostile extraterrestrials and demons. That's the actual source of evil on your world. And then you copied their abusive behaviors and started mistreating each other. Or you copied the status and separation and division games of those extraterrestrials. Or you started feeling so unsafe due to their actions that you stopped being open and loving and good towards others, making them feel even more unsafe in turn. And yes, as a result of this abuse and murder at the hands of hostile extraterrestrials and demons, you Earth humans developed many types of behaviors that gave you an advantage at the expense of other Earth humans. And that, in turn, turned Earth humans against Earth human. But still, the actual source of the problems on Earth is the abuse that you suffered at the hands of hostile extraterrestrials and demons. and to a much reduced extent, the abuse that you are still suffering today. So for example, a group of humans might decide, we together form this tribe or country, and we will conquer and murder others to improve our position. Or a group of humans adopt an ideology that helps them and hurts others in a more subtle way. And then of course other people will point at them and say they're evil, they're the problem. But they're only harming others in the first place because way back hostile extraterrestrials and demons were murdering you, making you feel very unsafe and defensive and like you need to victimize other Earth humans to protect yourself.